Giving Frankenstein's monster a highlight episode was not something I was expecting the show to do. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Creature Commandos, episode 5. So Eric, I can call him that. I think I can safely say this is my least favorite episode of Creature Commandos so far. That having been said, that's not the same as it being a bad episode. It's one of those cases where I don't like what it's doing on a personal level. I'm not enjoying this. But I can't say that it's like bad or that it's wrong or that it's mishandling anything. I get what it's going for. I think it accomplishes it decently. I just don't super like it. I think what it mainly comes down to is, for me personally, at least as things stand right now, as a viewer, I don't want to know Eric any better. I just don't. And I think, I'm not going to say that like what we learn is irrelevant, in terms of his flashback. Actually, given that he's starting to bond with Flag in a way that could have been seen as endearing and cute, I think it was actually probably pretty necessary to do that flashback just to make the point, no, never forget, he is a monster. He is horrible. So even if you feel yourself inclined to be favorable towards him or ever think that he's harmless, he's not. And I think that's a thing worth reminding, because if you're going to have him start to have this kind of forced bonding with Flag, you run the risk of making him more endearing to the audience than he should ever be, given the kind of character that he is and what it is he's doing. So I do think that was the correct thing to do. I still didn't enjoy watching it, though. And this is, I think part of the thing is, I didn't really enjoy watching him get close with Flag in the first place. Again, like looking at these component parts, looking at the way that he was sort of linking to Flag and the fact that that was built around humor and that can make him seem more endearing to audiences, then yeah, you definitely got to do that flashback and make the point. But, I wasn't super enjoying the him and Flag stuff either. Again, not that it was bad. That one I'll chalk up more to personal taste. But because I wasn't super enjoying that already, the thing you then have to do to take the curse off making this guy endearing feels even harder for me to watch, because I wasn't finding him endearing anyway. But I also recognize that the nature of the kind of story being told ran that risk, and you should head that off the pass, which James Gunn does. Because again, he's pretty dang good at this. But it's one of those things where I can break down and go, I see exactly why these decisions were made, and I'm not even going to say they were the wrong decisions. I think they were probably the correct ones. But the simple gut enjoyment reality is, for me, didn't enjoy watching that. Just didn't. And I don't really have too much more to say about Eric in specific. Yeah. Again, what's being done with him isn't bad. I just personally am not enjoying it. And I always feel like that's a distinction worth making. It's a very human thing to be like, I don't like it, therefore it's bad. And sometimes you don't like something and you can find a reason why, like, there's an actual more legitimate problem in terms of structure or storytelling or bad messaging or whatever. And other times it's like, no, there's nothing wrong with this. I just don't like it. And it's worth making that distinction, I think. As for the other stuff going on here, okay, so potentially there's some wrinkles to the princess, and maybe Cersei is trying to dupe them, or maybe she's been duped. I don't know. It's a bit more up in the air than it was in the previous episode, which I suppose is good, given that I was a little bit unimpressed by the future vision we got of the princess and what was going on there. Phosphorus is freaking ruthless, which I appreciate. Like, I really get the feeling that he is going to be the one that's like, okay, we're going to find out other stuff about these other characters. Maybe they do or don't deserve to be in Belle Reve. Maybe they do or don't deserve to be treated as monsters. Dr. Phosphorus is, holy crap. You are, oh, dang, absolutely brutal. I'm like, no, you deserve to be there. You should be locked up. Holy crap. So I'm liking the way that is that's panning out and how they're handling him. I'll be real curious to see if and when we get a flashback episode for him, what they're gonna do with that. Because honestly, a bit like Eric, like I'm not sure you're gonna benefit trying to soften his image. Maybe the best you could do is contextualize it. So yeah, I will be curious to see how that plays out. Alexei just having his head punched off. I did like him, but also like at the point things were like, yeah, that was going to happen. The action stuff with the bride, I think that was the first action segment that I felt didn't fully work. I think it just has to do with like, it makes the troops that of whatever stand just seem incompetent, because like some of the things they're up against, they had no way of knowing how to deal with, like Dr. Phosphorus. They had no way of knowing how to even try to deal with him. Fine, fair. The bride is just grabbing guns and shooting people. They should be better at this. Like the fact that she approaches a like some kind of armored vehicle, and there's like 5 guys with guns all pointed at her, and she shoots all of them before any of them were able to get a shot at her. That doesn't make her seem badass. That makes them look bad at their job. Or similarly, when she takes down one of the armored flying guys and like grabs his laser things, and she's just standing on the roof. She's not even moving. She's not even strafing. She's just standing there, taking out these people who obviously had to be trained on how to use this stuff, who are just floating in the air and they're not even shooting back initially. It's the first action scene in the show where I'm like, that's just bad. That's just having fodder villains. And like sometimes it worked okay when we had the Sons of Themyscira, because those guys weren't trained. They were a bunch of random jackasses seriously picked up. But the actual like trained military and police and these flying knights or whatever, like they're this bad? Hurts the verisimilitude of the whole thing a little bit. And there's your $5 word for the day. Clayface. I'm curious as to whether we are meant to consider Clayface dead following that electrocution. It's hard to tell. He's goopy and real unpleasant in this. And it's certainly interesting as a contrast to how Clayface has been done in the Harley Quinn animated series, for sure. Both voiced by Alan Tudyk, fittingly enough. But I don't know. There's also something just nifty about him just sitting down to play a video game because he's sick of trying to pretend to be this professor, which he doesn't even do very convincingly. But also just the notion of the tendrils just snake out and grab the two of them, and he doesn't even turn around. His face just out the back of his own head. I visually, I definitely like what they were going for with that. So I'll be curious to see if we're meant to consider him down and out or not. My inclination is probably not, because there's word that Alan Tudyk is going to be doing this version of Clayface elsewhere as well. So my inclination is he's probably not dead, but he was taken down. As for Flag, I mean, it's possible that Flag dies. It's a possibility. I don't think so. We'll see, though, I suppose. So, yeah. Creature Commandos. Least favorite episode of the season. Still decent. Still good stuff in there. Just, first one where I've gone, over more than just like a single aspect. So, there we go. What'd you think of this episode? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills, enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, and subscribe. Those all help me out. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now it's time to thank my highest supporting patrons. Robin Moore, Goddess Elida, Zubin Lutfulla, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Oliver B., Melissa Pedersen, Movie Turtle, Ulrich Bogdan, Loki Eris, Melinda Walters, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Renabulax the Poodle, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Quite Bearish, Rosalind Bennett, Adam RDL Taylor, Pal Barabajoggle, Mira G, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. You can hear me try and say your name while dealing with these guys crawling all over me by checking out the reward tiers on my Patreon. See you next time.